Hey everyone, in the last two parts we have fully built this structure with all of the fancy animations and also the interactions like these steps here. So in today's video we're going to go and finish this project, and the only thing that is left here to do is the responsive. So this website can look good on every single device. So let's go back to our builder, and for this example we won't need the AMD website. So we're going to make the responsiveness to our likings. So at the beginning, we're going to start with the top or our navbar. So firstly, what I'm going to do is go to this drop down for the responsiveness, and here I'm going to choose the breakpoint. So I'm going to go with 991 or the tablet. So I'm going to select it. And now I can see that my viewport is way smaller now. So this will represent the tablet view. So let's begin editing our responsiveness. So firstly, let's begin with navbar. And as you can see, we have this X here activated right at the beginning. So let's fix that really quickly. All I have to do is select my hamburger, go to the settings, and open the plugin settings. Here I just need to uncheck this show option, go on save, and it'll look normal. Now let's go and make some changes into the structure here. Because we made a new structure or changed the predefined nav that Divhunt offers, we would need to make some edits in order for our hamburger to work properly. So let's go and change our structure here a bit, because we haven't made it very well for the responsiveness. So let's go back on the desktop really quickly and change the structure here really quickly. So what I want to have here is have these links and these icons here in the same div, because I want them to be hidden on the smaller devices and then shown when I click on the hamburger icon. So let's go and make that really quickly. So what I'm going to do here is add one more div inside of this wrapper, and let's name it menu wrap. And now, as I said, I want my links and my icons to be shown on the responsiveness, so I want to nest them here. So let's open this navbar left that we made, and let's drag this menu inside, and let's drag this icons wrap inside as well. And it disappeared for some reason. Let me hit refresh button. Okay, I just put it outside of the section. Now what I want to do is pull out this logo as well, because I won't need this navbar left. I can just remove it. Then I'm going to put this menu wrap here. And now I want to make the structure same as before. So what I'm going to do here is just take this menu, go to the design, and make it full width. And let's go with 100% for that. Let's make it flex, because we want these icons to go all the way to the right. I'll put space between, and let's center them. And now you can see that we have the same visual design, but we have the different structure. And these structures goes in our advantage, because you will see that we'll make this everything be a menu. So let's go here, and this is the predefined menu that the Divhunt navbars have. So let's check it and go to the settings. And here you'll have the ID of the menu. In some cases you will, in some cases you won't. If you have it, you can just remove it, and I'll show you what you need to do. So we want this div to be our menu. So I'm going to go and add one ID here. So you can name it however you want, doesn't matter. Let's go just with responsive menu. Let's spell that right. And let's copy this ID. Now I have to go to the hamburger, open the plugin settings, and here I need to paste that ID so it will match with my ID. And that is everything you have to do. Now let's hit save, and let's again go back to the tablet view. Now we need to style our menu. So what I'm going to do here is select my menu wrap, and I want it to be right underneath my navbar. So I'm going to secure that my navbar is relative, because I'm going to set my menu to be absolute, and as you can see, it's a relative by the default. So let's go and select our menu wrap. Now I'm going to make it to be absolute, so let's do that really quickly. And I want it to be at the top. And now what I'm going to do is check how my navbar is in height. And as you can see under my cursor, it's 86 pixels. So what I want to do here, I want to change this top value to pixels and input my nav height, and you will see that it will perfectly place right underneath my navbar. Now what I want to do here is set the background here, so let's go with this black color, and let's set this whole menu to have some greater z index so we can see it, so we can go over this section here, and you can see that we have our icons here visible, but for some reason we don't have our links visible. So let's check that out. Oh, you can see that they're absolute by the default, so you will need to reset these values. I'll reset the paddings as well, and the display is hidden. So we need to reset all of this, and as we've done this before, let's just open the custom code and let's see what we need to reset here. So we have to reset these top left right values, the display value, padding value, z index, position, and as you can see it, we will reset everything from here. So we want just one plain div. So I'll remove it, hit save, and now we are left with the plain div. So let's go now to the design, and let's set the background to this menu as well. So let's go with the black, and now you will see that our links are visible. So now we can start, we can continue editing our menu. So what I want to do is, firstly, I want these links to go above my icons. So I can just hit flex column reverse here. So, okay, I think that I need to hit refresh once again. So let's see if that fixed anything. And yes, it fixed my problem. So sometimes if you have problems with plugins, all you have to do is just hit refresh here and your bugs will disappear. Now let's go and put these links to go one under the other. So let's hit the column direction here, and I want them to be aligned at the left. Now let's see, let's select our menu wrap and let's put it to stretch. So our child elements can be stretched in the full width of our parent. And now let's go back to the menu and let's put some spacing between our links. We can do that here. So let's go with something like 20 pixels, and this looks fairly enough. And now let's go and put some spacing all the way to the left side and to the right side, so this doesn't get sticked to the window. So let's select our menu wrap, and I will put the 20 pixels to the left and to the right as well. And I can reset this margin out because I don't want it to be centered anymore. And now you can see that my links are matched with my logo. That's because my container as well contains 20 pixels of padding, so it will match perfectly. Now let's go back to our menu wrap, and let's add top and bottom padding as well. So we can have a little bit of extra space at the top, at the bottom. So I'll hold Alt on my keyboard and start dragging with my mouse, and let's go with something like 30 pixels. It looks nice now. And now let's make some space between our links and our icons. So I'll select this menu here, or I can go with the menu wrap as well, it doesn't matter. And I will input the same value as before. I'll go with 20 pixels. So now we have the same spacing here between links and between the group of links and the icons. And with icons, they don't take up much space, so I'll just leave it to go like this. I don't want them to put one under the other. So now this navbar looks pretty fine, But let's check this menu wrap again and let's make it a little bit more visible, because you can see that it has the same background color as our navbar, so you can't really tell the difference where the navbar ends and where the menu begins. So let's go here to the background and let's put some lighter version of this black color. So I think that this color looks pretty fine, and let's copy it and let's go here to the menu and let's reset this color that we set. And yes, now you can see that our main navbar, let me click here, or let me click here so these outlines disappear. You can clearly see where the navbar disappears, where the navbar ends and where the menu begins. So if you don't want to change the color, you don't need to. So let's make it a little bit darker. And yes, I think that this is perfect looking. And now all I have to do in order for my navbar to be functional is click my menu wrap and go here and just hide it. Now let's go to the live site. This is our website, so I'll hit refresh so all the changes will be applied. And let's open the inspect tool. Now I'll go here and just open it in a new window, and I will select this tool here. So when I click on it, you will notice that my screen immediately got smaller, but I don't want that small. Let's go and make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it smaller until our hamburger here appears, and you can see that it is shown now. So when I click on it, you will see that my navbar opens. When I click on the X, it closes, and it works perfectly. Now I can interact with all of this fancy stuff and it will look nice. Now let's go and let's close this inspect tool because I don't need it anymore. And let's go, and if you see that when it's on the bigger screens it doesn't work, all the links has disappeared, you just need to hit refresh and everything is here. Now let's go back and let's continue our responsiveness. With navbar we are finished, so let's go now to our hero section. And firstly, let's go, and I think that these links look pretty fine like this. They have enough space for them, and everything, all I have to do here is change the heading size. So let's go and again let's select our global H1, and this specific settings will be set for all H1s on this breakpoint. So let's go and make all of our H1s smaller here. So let's go with 50 pixels for the beginning, and I think that this is enough. And yes, I think I'll just play with 50 pixels. It looks very nice. So if you want, you can select this image, and if it's too much cutted for you, you can just go to the settings, and here into the position field you can manipulate it by if you put 0, you will see how the left part of your image will be fixed all the way here, and the rest of the image will be pushed all the way to the right. So now you can play with some values. If you put 100%, the right part of the image will be sticked here and your image will be shown like this. So let's go with something like 60%. And yes, this card here is visible and it's cutted a bit, but it's not too much. So I think that this looks pretty fine. And I wouldn't touch anything on here section on the tablet anymore. So let's go to the next section, and here we can reduce the top spacing maybe. And yes, I like to go with something like 80 pixels on the tablets. So you can see that the space is reduced now, and these cards here look a little bit too crowded. So let's just put them in the 2 columns, and you can see that they have a lot more space now, and this looks fine to me. It would be nice if we had 4 cards, so this space here wouldn't be empty, but it doesn't really matter. And now this will be it for this section, so let's advance even more. Let's see how much spacing we have here. We have 55 plus 55, we have 110. So we can just reduce the bottom padding here. Let's put it to 20. And yes, this looks nice. And here we can take this, let's see where it is in the layers. We can take this content wrapper and reduce the left and the right padding here. So let's just hold Alt on our keyboard and let's reduce it. Let's go with 50 pixels, looks pretty fine with me. So let's go, and we can as well put these navigations into the two columns, into the two rows, I'm sorry, and let's reduce their numbers. So we can go with, this looks pretty fine. So let's make the gap between them, and yes, this section already looks way better. So I think I'll just leave it like this. And let's go and progress even further. But before we do that, let's reduce this space here. So it's 20 pixels. So let's set it to 80 if it, so it's, yes, it looks fine. It's not too small. So let's advance even further. And with this section, you can see that this eye isn't centered, right? So we can try and center it. You can remember that we set it through the background options. So all the options will be shown here. So let's go with left and let's put the 10%, and that's way too small. So let's go with something like 30. Let's go with 50. And yes, 50 looks pretty fine here. Looks like this eye is centered. So all that I can do here is maybe reduce these paddings, but let's go and reduce them, not too much. I'll go and set them to be, let's go with 100 and let's go with 170 pixels. Yes, this looks way better now. And now let's go and progress even further. This section already looks good, so I'll just, yes, the top and bottom spacings are fine, so I won't touch them. But for these cards, I'm not sure. Maybe to reduce this spacing here a little bit. So let's go with something like 20 pixels. So this space here, and this spacing here will be equal. And yes, these cards doesn't need adjustments right now, so I'll just leave them be. They look pretty nice. And here I have pretty big spacing here, so let's go and reduce that. Let's go with 80 pixels. And for the bottom spacing, I can as well go with 80 pixels. And yes, that is fine. And these cards here looks good as well, so I'm not sure if I need to change anything here. So let's make some smaller gap maybe. And yes, I'll just leave them. They don't look too crowded, the text isn't breaking too much, so I can just leave them and I'll change them on the smaller breakpoints. Now, here we are to the footer, and here, this here looks too crowded, so I'll put these icons to go. I'm not sure if it would look better to put them above this form drop down or underneath it. So let's go and test it out how it looks better. Let's put it like this first. Let's put some spacing like 40 pixels. And this doesn't look bad, but let's test it out how it looks like this. And maybe I like this more better. So yes, I'll just leave it like this. I like this one better. So let's go here and let's open our FAQ, but not FAQ, our accordion dropdown, but I think that it will work perfectly. So what I have to do here, go here and just set one here. And yes, because it contains max width, it already looks perfect. So let's go and close it. Let's again input some bigger number. You don't need to go with 10, you just need to go with 15. You just cannot input the number of 1. Either number will work, 2, 3, or some bigger numbers, doesn't matter. Now let's go and reduce this spacing here, and we put the margin here as I remember. So let's just click and drag until I find it looking nice. So 65 pixels looks fine by me, so I'll just leave it be. Now, what I can do here is I can just hide these two divs because I don't need them anymore. I want these fields here to be stretched all the way from the left to right. So let's go and hide these empty divs because I don't need them. And now let's go to our grid and let's reduce this field here and the last field as well. And now you can see that these fields here already have uh, uh, more spacing. Now I can also reduce this spacing here, and for the aesthetics I want this space here and this space here to be equal, so we put the 65 pixels margin here. So let's check out how much we have here. We have 78, so let's go with 65 here, and now our spacings are equal. And maybe I can reduce top and bottom padding, but I don't feel like doing it, so let's just leave it like this, and we can say that we successfully edited our tablet responsiveness. So now I like to go to the top and then go to the smaller breakpoint, and then sometimes it will drop you on some random part of your page, so you just go back to the top. Our navbar, I think it looks fine, but let's check it out. Let's go again to the menu wrap and just make it visible. And yes, navbar looks pretty fine, so I can just go here, reset it, and continue editing. Now, when it comes to this section, it would be nice if these links can go in 2 rows. So let's go here and reduce 2 columns so they can go 2 by 2. And let's increase the gap here. Let's set 25. And yes, this looks perfect now. Now what I can do is even more reduce the H1 sizing. So let's again go globally. And let's go with something like 45 maybe, or maybe with 40. And yes, I think that 40 will look way better. Now I can reduce this spacing here, and as you remember, we were making this with fixed height, so all I have to do here is go to my content here and reduce its fixed height. So let's go with something like 450 pixels, but that's way too small, so let's reset that. Let's go with something like 550, and I think that this will do. And now I have to as well reduce this image for the same value. Let's go with 550. And yes, it has reduced the height, but for some reason this here, oh yes, the gradient needs to be reduced as well. So 550, and here we have it. It's now smaller for somewhere about 60 pixels. And yes, I think that the hero section here is finished. Now let's go and progress even further. These cards here looks pretty fine, so I'll just leave them be. Maybe the spacing to be reduced a little bit. Let's go with 60 here. And yes, I forgot to say, this breakpoint is 767 or mobile landscape, as you can see that these icons here, that this icon here indicates. So we're working with mobile landscape now. So with this section we are cool, so let's go and progress further. This spacing here is fine. Here I can again go and maybe reduce the spacing or make this whole window here smaller, but I think that it looks nice with this height. But let's test it out how it will work with some smaller height. Let's go and reduce it for 50 pixels, let's say. And we need to as well reduce the let's see where our image is. So let's see where we put that image, or we could as well go and just input the overflow hidden, and it will cut everything that goes outside. So I'm not sure that I like this, and I think that I'll just put it back. I'll go and reset this and reset this, and yes, this height looks nice, so I'll just leave it. For these links, I can make them go 3 by 3. Let's go and reduce even more. And yes, 3 by 3 looks perfect now. So let's go and see this spacing here. It's 80 pixels. Let's go with 60. And in this section, oh God, I like this section here. I don't think that I'll do much here. And as you can see, we forgot to change the text for this button, but let's change it here. And yes, when you're working with responsiveness, you can change the text on every breakpoint, and they will reflect on even higher breakpoints. Or if you're not sure how responsiveness work, we have separate video on that, so you can check it out. But I think that you will catch up in this video how the responsiveness works. So let's now go and progress further. And with these cards, yes, they look crowded now. You can see that this text is breaking into the two rows. So let's go and change that. So what I'm going to do, I want them to go every single card in their separate row. So here in the columns, I just need to reduce it to 1. So let's remove all of these values here. So, and let's select the class that is making these two cards don't go in full width. So let's try to find that class. And I'm not sure if I can find it here. And yes, I cannot. So let's try it and go with 100% here. And no. Or let's go with the column span of 1. And no, that won't work as well. So let's reset this, and let's reset this because it doesn't have any impact. And if you're not sure why isn't it working, you can always just go with the flex and hit the column, and everything will stretch. And actually, I like them that they're not even in height, but if you don't like it, you can just maybe to increase the max width of this paragraph. It's just too tight. I don't like it. Like, let's see how much we have here. Okay, we have, let's go with something like 400 pixels maybe. And yes, it broke into the 3 almost even rows. So yes, I'll leave it like this. And yes, these cards look perfect now. So let's go to the next section, and let's reduce the space here right away. So let's go. We have here 55 plus 80, we have 135. So let's go and input a 40 here, and maybe 20. And yes, with 20 we are good. So here, let's go and reduce the columns of the grid so we have more spacings. And yes, this looks good, but let's go with 2 by 2. And yes, this will do the trick. I don't like that empty space here, so I'll go with 2 by 2. And our job with this section will be done, but let's check this spacing as well. And let's put it to be 60 pixels. Now, for the footer, here and here we don't need to touch anything, but here it starts to get a little bit crowded. So let's just take that and let's go and decrease the number of columns. Let's decrease it once more, and yes, this looks perfectly. It would be nice if we had one more group here, but it is what it is. Now I need to go and fix this here as well. And we worked here with a flex, and because we worked with a flex, we can just hit the wrap here, and it will, everything that couldn't fit, it will just break it in a new row. So if it's no wrap, you can see that everything is squeezing in here, but when you hit the wrapping, it won't squeeze anything. It will just put them in a new row when there is no enough space in the original row. So let's increase the spacing here. Let's hit 10 pixels. 12 pixels looks pretty good. And we can even go with the max width. Let's go, not with the max width, let's go with a width of 60% maybe. And let's center it. And not sure how this looks like. Let's increase this and maybe like this. Or let's just reset it. I don't like this, so I'll just go and reset the margins as well. And yes, let's just leave it like this. And with that, we are finished for the mobile landscape. So let's go all the way to the top and zoom a bit. And as you can see here, our H1 title is way smaller than our H2 here. We can see that in the style guides. So let's go and reduce the H2 here. Let's check out how much H1 is. It's 40 pixels and this is 48, and we don't like that. We don't want our H2 to be bigger than H1, so let's select our H2 globally and reduce it to, let's go with 35 maybe. And yes, now you can see that everything is now back in the order. And let's go back and check it on the tablet as well. And it's 50, 48, and let's reduce it just to make it better. Let's go with 45 here. And yes, now it's visible that our H1 is bigger than H2. So let's go back to the landscape. And our job here is done. So let's go and do the final breakpoint, that is the mobile landscape. So let's go here and let's firstly edit the H1 again. So I'll go select it. It's too big here, so let's just go with global H1 and maybe set it to be 36, let's say. Let's hit enter. 34 maybe. And yes, with 34, I think that we've gotten ourselves a perfect H1. Yes, I like it. I'll just leave it like this. So let's go again back here and let's ensure that our H2 is smaller than our H3. So let's go here with 32 pixels. Let me see how much we put here. It's 34. And how much is H3? It's 30. This one is 25. And yes, this now is okay. So let's continue. Let's firstly check out how our navigation is working. Let's go here again, select our menu wrap, and let's put it to flex. And yes, everything has enough space, but you can see this gap here. That's because our navigation has lost in height. It's not 86 anymore, it's 66 now. So let's go and reduce this here. So let's just hit 66 and you can see that our menu is back in place. But let's go back to the landscape and check that out for just to be sure. So let's go here, flex, and you can see that here we have that issue as well. So let's go and input the 66. So now when I go back, now firstly let's reset this value and let's go back to the phone and let's reset this value, and it will inherit it directly from this breakpoint. So we don't have to have same value here and here. We can just make it work like this. And with that done, I think that our navbar is completed. So let's just hit here reset and it will be hidden automatically. Now let's go and work with this action. So here I can even more decrease its height. So let's go with that. Let's go with 450 pixels now. And now I have to change it here as well. Let me do that really quickly. And the gradient, we cannot forget that gradient. So yes, now this doesn't look too much big, but it's big enough. Now I will just take this image and maybe put it to the right a bit. So let's go to the settings and let's input the 20 pixels. Oh, no, that's too much, 20%, not pixels. Let's increase it to 40. And I think that I'll just go back with 60. So yes, do it 60, it looks perfect. So let's just leave it be. And with these links, I can put them all in one column. So let's go here in this grid. And yes, this looks pretty well organized. So let's now advance with other sections. Let's check this one. And when it comes to mobile phones, this breakpoint for the mobile is for the mobile phones. When it comes to this responsiveness, I like to put the top and bottom spacing to be 40. So that's just my personal liking. I like that much spacing between my sections, so I'll just leave it like that. With this card, our job is pretty easy. We just decrease this column and every single card has its own row, and it doesn't get crowded here. So with this section, we are done in just 2 clicks, I think. And here we have 55 plus 20, it's 75. And let's go with 40 here. And yes, with my eye, it looks pretty fine, but let's go with 30 here. And yes, it looks okay. So let's advance even further. Right away, let's reduce the spacing here. So let's check our content, not content, but content wrap. And let's reduce these spacings to 25 pixels. Yes, 25 pixels will just do the trick. And with height, I'm satisfied, so I won't touch it. So, and now let's go with the navigation. Let's decrease the number of columns here, so we have more spacing. And let's go with, yes, 2 by 3. It looks just perfect, so I won't touch anything more here. Now let's check this spacing here. Let's put it to 40 pixels, as I said before. And look at this section. It just blends perfectly. Now let's decrease the padding maybe. Let's go with 120 pixels. Yes, it's perfect. So let's not touch it anymore. With this section we are done. So let's just decrease this padding here. And yes, every single card has its own row and its own spacing, so doesn't need to be interrupted. And let's decrease this spacing here as well. And here, I like this spacing here, so I'll just leave it be. And here, let's go and put everything into one column. And with row gap, I think that 25 will look better here. Yes, this spacing here is better fitting now. So let's see what we have here. Every single card is having its own spacing. So now I would go with this image maybe and center it. Let's try to center it out. And yes, it's way better now. So let's go with our footer and let's check these icons here. As we said before, you can see it's getting a little bit crowded here. And what is the fix for that? That is the wrap option. So here, let's ensure that we have spacing. 25 is just too much. Let's go with 15. And yes, 15 is just too perfect. Or if you don't like it like this, you can just switch to grid, let's say, and maybe set something like this, or even make them go like this gridish style. But I don't like this. I'll just go reset these stylings and leave it be like this. I think that our form doesn't need to have any changes, but just in case, let's check it out. Not too much work. And yes, this form just looks just perfect. And as I said before, you can put anything except 1. So if I go with 2 here, it will disappear. And you cannot input the zeros here, so that won't work. Now, with these groups, let's just check this out. And let's put them maybe 2 columns. 1 column. There are too much groups, but I think that 2 columns just doesn't look. Yes, on some smaller devices than 480, it won't work good. So let's put it in 1 column, and we have a bit of a bigger footer, but that doesn't matter. And here, as you can see, because we set the wrapping, you will see how these links and paragraphs just they reorganize, they create new rows as they need them, so you don't need to touch anything here. And the final touch I'd do here is just reduce the bottom padding and top padding to 40, and I think that our job here is done. And now when I go back, you can see that our whole web page just looks perfect on smaller devices. And with this, I think that we're completed. We finished the structure. We make that structure responsive. We made the hover animations. We made the interactions like tabs and these tabs with arrows. And I think that we are done. But for just one test here, yes, as I thought, we forgot these arrows because they are not visible. We can just go with these arrows I think that they won't look nice on the responsiveness, so let's just select this whole wrapper and let's hide it. And now you can see that this arrows has disappears. Yes, we forgot completely about them because they weren't visible there. So with that done, I think that we are finished. So let's go back again and hit refresh so we can see what we made. We have these fancy looking animations. We have this like pop-up menu. We have hovers. We have functionalities, hovers again, and I think that this is it. Now for the final test, let's again open the inspect tool, and now you can see that when I start shrinking my screen, you will see that now we are on 790. That is the tablet screen, and you can see that as we set it here, we have 2 by 2, or because we lack one card here, it's just empty space. Here you can see that our navigations here are breaking. Here you can see this perfect looking section. These cards here look pretty nice. Here it's looking nice, and now let's go back and let's shrink it even more. You can see that we go past 767, that is for the landscape. You can see how it breaks 767. I cannot hit it, but you can see that there is the change because these links go in 2 by 2, and that is our mobile landscape. And here we have 3 by 2. We have these cards go in each separate row. We have here go 2 by 2. We have our footer fixed, and for the last we have 480, and that is our phone. So let's go with 476, doesn't matter. You can see that we have go in every separate row. When we open our navbar, you can see how it looks perfectly. Here we have every card go in each separate row. This image this image could be pulled a little bit to the left, but it doesn't matter. This section here looks nice. These cards here looks nice. And yes, everything has its own spacing. Nothing is too crowded. This here looks like this. It's just perfect. And with our footer, why I put this in one column? You will see that not in sometimes, but not every single phone is 476. There are some smaller mobile phones. So, for example, if you're using phone with 360, if we had 2 columns here, it will be way too crowded. So we prevented that here. And here, with the wrap option, you will see when I make it wider, it just switches in the one row. But when I make it a little bit tighter, you will see how everything finds a new row. So that will be everything. But before I close up this video, let's go back here and say one more thing here. When working with responsiveness, you have this custom breakpoint option. So if you, for example, your website looks pretty fine on full HD resolution or 1920 pixels, but doesn't look well on the 1440, and you can see that you have here 1920 and 991, but you don't have 1440. You can just manually add it, and it will pop up here. But let me demonstrate you that. Let's not just talk, let's do some work. And when I hit confirm, you will see that when I click here, it will work in 1440. And now everything I change here will be applied to this breakpoint. And with this option, you can make manual breakpoints, and you can just make your website work perfect for every single breakpoint. And with this, I will close up this video. Let's close this inspect tool so we can see the full site. With this, we're finished. We have fully recreated this stunning looking AMD website, and I hope that these 3 videos will help you understand how to build sections, websites, animations, responsiveness as well, and we'll make way more videos with these topics like this, full guides videos. So be sure that you're subscribed to Divhunt channel to get notified when the new video pops up, and that will be everything. I'll be seeing you in some other videos. Until the next time, happy building!